Hey, this is Mike, and you're listening to My Black Ram, song by song.
So My Black Ram is a band name. It doesn't have anything to do with trucks, doesn't have anything to do with sheep. They were just three words that I saw written down, and I really liked the way that they sounded together. And so My Black Ram was born. Probably about 12 years ago, I was doing some solo acoustic shows, and I didn't want to go by my name, so I put My Black Ram against it. A lot of those tunes at that time went into Sleepy Driver, and a few went into The Drawer. And when this project came, the name came out, and so did a couple of those tunes, and the rest were all original. It started with these guys. So let's start with Golden Era. This is a tune that I wrote and recorded maybe about 12, 13 years ago, and here's a demo, and then we're going to get into the actual Black Rammed version of it.
Golden Era was the first song Pete brought to the band.
Golden Era is the first song that Peter brought to us.
He played it on guitar, and we worked out our parts.
Totally different structure, but when he brought it to the band, we were able to kind of expand upon that.
And then we were basically playing that song from start to end, I don't know, like 15 minutes.
It's a pretty simple song. For the most part, it's just three chords.
The intro bass line for Golden Era, I came up with, I really wanted a kind of flowy bass line.
Rhythmically, Mike and I were able to add a little bit of dynamic to it. Mike does, it's kind of an open chord, but Mike adds a little bit of a feel to it by doing like do 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 underneath it.
Do 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 do
do do do do do do. And I'm adding a backbeat, an extra do, that kind of gives it more of like a bouncy feel.
I took that bass line and reused that in the verse and again in the solo. I kind of removed some notes to let other instrumentation come through.
But we changed that on the chorus. On the chorus we play it very straight to give it that forward feel.
So Golden Era was the first tune that we started working on with My Black Ram, and my very first thought was, this needs a kick-ass synth solo.
The solo in Golden Era is awesome.
So the solo in Golden Era is an homage of sorts to the Golden Era of 80s synth solos and Rush.
I could just imagine Geddy Lee behind the keys.
It takes me right back to Flynn's Arcade from the movie Tron. Every time I close my eyes and listen to that solo, I can't say enough good things about that solo.
So this is the synthesizer that I used in Golden Era. 64 voices of polyphony, 3 independent oscillators. I have the patch loaded up now that we created for Golden Era, comprised of a couple of different tones layered, sawtooth waves. One of them is just slightly detuned to give it a thicker sound. We have a big reverb added to it, long sustain. This is what it sounds like by itself. So when we had the recording session for Golden Era, first thing I did was lay down all of the organ tracks. In the verses, there's some Fender Rhodes, a few synth pads. It took us most of the evening to get those right, and at the very end of the night, we'd pretty much run out of time. We were burnt, so we were going to finish it off in another session. But before I left for home, Peter suggested that I just put down a kind of a temporary solo. So that's what I did. I did one take, played through a solo of sorts, went home the next day, wrote a big, bombastic, very technical solo because I wanted to show that synthesizers could rock every bit as hard as an electric guitar could. And I wanted to show off my chops a little bit too. And I started thinking, well, maybe this isn't epic enough, so I wrote a second keyboard part that sat underneath that solo, and I was totally stoked by how it had turned out. So I sent it off to Peter, expecting him to come back with his mind blown, and all he said was, yeah, that's pretty cool, but what I really liked was the solo that you laid down the night before. And so that was kind of deflating, but I thought about it, and I listened again to the solo that I had written the night before, and I thought, you know, that's not so bad. I made a few little tweaks, and the long and the short of it is that 2/3 of that solo is note for note exactly what I played that first take without any forethought, and that is the story of the solo in Golden Era.
And then on the chorus, on the harmonies, I really wanted to make it big, so I added a lot of vocals. I added a double, a fifth, an octave. It was like barbershop quartet. I had Sloan in mind, you know? I really wanted to boost it with the vocals, and I don't think I ever sung that high in my life.
The outro in Golden Era initially ended right after the last chorus. I believe I was the one that suggested we kind of repeat that "I won't leave your side" part. So if you like that part, it was definitely me that came up with that. If you don't like that part, that may have been Jason's idea.